Today's episode is the most colorful woman you'll meet on social media. Although she's probably had every color in the rainbow as her hairstyle, what remains constant is her dedication to creating out-of-the-box strategies for your business to thrive, all the while teaching others her tips and tricks to implementing diverse marketing skills in your own business. She doesn't shy away from speaking her mind and bringing authenticity to her storytelling. A content creator, business and social media strategist, and real-life unicorn and rebel to the core, Alex, welcome to Failures and Beyond.
I think that was the coolest intro, by the way.
I've got goosebumps. I am not lying.
No, I'm
if
serious.
You can see, like this
that was like
is,
the coolest. Can I steal it?
You can, by all means.
So grateful. I'm so happy to be here.
And I'm so happy you made the time before you flew off. I knew I had to get you before you flew off. If this woman goes without me getting her,
I admire your persistence. I love that. Sometimes I say yes to people based on just how persistent they are.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not very persistent.
You
It's
were.
only when I know what I want.
No.
I'm like, this is not slipping
You were.
away. I'm getting this. I'm not giving. What made you start House of Social, and what's the problem that it's solving?
Someone said to me that I was never going to make it. And someone said, with that hair, no one will ever take you serious. And I'm going to make sure that everybody in the city will not want to work with you. These were the words that I heard from, let's say, the last person, identity company I worked with. And even though I already had House of Social completely mapped out in my head from A to Z, 2 years prior to these words, I was going into work. I loved my job. I loved my role, the team that I hired. I had a great salary, I had a big salary, but things just weren't very healthy. They didn't started getting very toxic. But even though I knew I had the vision for House of Social, even though I knew that at some point down the line, I'll have my own business, but that idea was so scary and big, you know. But these words were the words that I had to hear. So on that day, after having done 10 years working in the agency world between London, Singapore, Middle East, Dubai, that day when I got home and I turned on Skype, yes, it was still Skype.
Oh yeah, that long ago, huh? I remember Skype, yeah.
And so we're probably talking about 8 years ago or maybe a little bit more. And I just have tears and I'm looking at my mom, and my mom had just lost her job at that time. And in my family, it's me, my mom, and my grandma. This is it. This is the family. And I knew it in every cell of my body that I did not want to work for anybody else. Right. And my mom could see that in my face. And it was in that night on that Skype that I just knew I don't want to work for anybody else anymore. I don't know what's next. Like there's no sentence or words or lines really at that moment in that night of what would be next. And my mom, but the fear, not so much fear, that's too much. I wasn't feeling fear. I was kind of scared because my mom had just lost her job too. I was having a great salary at the time. Mom was not in Dubai. Mom was in, I don't even know where mom was, Brazil maybe. So it was like the two of us cannot now be out of work. Yeah. And my mom did what she always does. My mom is my superhero. You know, she just looks at me and she's like, you're going to hand in that resignation and we're going to figure out. And these words, we're going to figure out. I grew up with that from my mom and my grandma throughout all of the hardships we had with my childhood and my dad and everything that happened. That was always what my mom would say. We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. Which is why I think today I'm such a figure it out person. I don't dwell in the failure. I know we're going to talk a lot about failures, but that's the thing. That's why I have a hard association with failure, because I literally don't spend almost any time on it. It's like, what do I do next? What's the plan? And so those were the words that really sparked that definitive moment that I went in the next day and I had a resignation. And then the next 30 days became my last 30 days. And the vision for House of Social had always been in my head. It was about I want to teach social media marketing, which 7, 8 years ago, for anybody who's watching and for anybody who's been here long enough and is a little bit aware of the market, 8, 9, 10 years ago, there was no social media training. Agencies were just about figuring out how to get it right. And I know that because I've worked across 5 to 6 different agencies here in the UAE, all building social media departments. So for the kids watching, it was not what it is today, okay?
Yeah.
Like, not at all.
Yeah.
So I knew that it was a lot about education, because I realized I had become so passionate about educating because I had built so many teams by that point. By this point, I was doing social media marketing for about 15, 16 years. This is a long time. A lot of people sometimes forget. I've been doing this for since it almost started.
Yeah.
So I knew education was a big pillar, consultancy. And funny enough, everybody thought the classic, I was going to open an agency, and it couldn't have been the most extreme opposite. It was I had just spent
You'd had
10
enough.
years.
Yeah.
There was nothing sexy and appealing about that. So it was consultancy, wanting to work one-on-one or wanting to work directly with companies and people so I could do it my way. So we could have this repertoire relationship. Agency, there's a lot of, it's a machine, And at the time, now it's evolved, at the time there was a third pillar called insights. So I was obsessed about social media listening. We did one of the first consumer trend reports. That was my big launch with House of Social. We really pretty much launched the first consumer insights reports in the Middle East based off doing social media listening. So those were my 3 pillars. I hate comfort because I think comfort sometimes does not give you the kick in the butt that you need. So I love it when people come to me and tell me that they're having problems or something said that. Take that adversity. Adversity is your best motivation. Forget the Instagram posts. Forget the quotes. It's that adversity that you really feel it. Because when he said that, not only he was very physically close to me, he slams that laptop and he points his finger at me. And that was wow. And I stood up holding my head up high and and I went outside, sat in the grass crying, tears just rolling down and remembering what my mom and grandma always taught me. Always look up and always look for your happiness, no matter what that is. And in that moment, I was like, what is this? This is not happiness.
Why are you
Who
doing
is
it?
this
Yeah.
person treating me like this? Of course, we had already many other arguments before this one. So it was kind of
This is like
brewing.
the last thing you needed just to push yourself off the edge and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's that I've had enough.
Yeah.
You needed that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people sometimes need that point
We
of
need
breaking
it.
point to realize I don't want to do this anymore. I deserve better. And whatever it might be that is the better, I'm just going to do that.
Yeah.
And you might just need to go through that process
Yeah.
sometimes that you figure it out.
Yeah.
And like you said, you have a support mechanism there for you. You have your mum. When you have that strong network of people who you trust
Yeah.
and you know they've got your back,
Yeah.
that gives you some strength to know that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And like you said, you've got this.
Yeah.
That's your mantra. So
Yeah.
having that belief in yourself enabled you to take that risk. Because
But it-
ultimately, that's
yeah.
what it is.
But it was always as well, the biggest thought at that time was also something my mom had really imprinted in me. And I think it just, whatever, and this was for me a big thing that helped me take the leap. And I say this a lot. I try to reiterate this a lot to people when I have, especially younger people that I have talking to me a lot, or sometimes even as clients. And it was that simple picture of, I may not know what's on the other side, but I know it's going to be better where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And sometimes a lot of people don't take the leap because they're so scared. They don't know what's on the other side. But I guarantee it will be better than the bad situation or the pain that you are in. Because if you are in a bad situation or there's pain, you got to get out as fast as possible
Yeah.
to get to that other side so then you can figure it out. So that's just all I kept thinking. That was like my life jacket, let's say.
Sure. Beautiful. Okay. Well, that's given us a nice insight into your why, because that's one of, I think, the most interesting questions. I like to get to know what is the reason why you started. So that's beautiful. You had that ignition, you took the risk,
Yeah.
and now here we are.
And I thanked him later. You know,
that's
it's really
good. So because obviously you have to go through the process of healing that pain to get to where you are in your strength. And the fact that you can actually forgive somebody, ultimately,
but that was
they were your
much
reason.
later.
Sure, I mean,
Because
it's not like you did it the next day, but
for 3-4 years, those words were the best motivation I could have had, because I was waking up every single day feeling like the smallest fish, which many times I still do. A lot of people, you know how it is. People see you on the outside and they see you doing all these things. So people think like, but I still 100% feel like the underdog. Like by no means I feel like, you know, I'm up there with like all these big sharks, blah, blah, blah. So I was feeling like such a small fish. I was like, who am I to think that, and again, context of times, this is 8 years ago. We didn't even have freelance licenses. Having consultants wasn't yet a thing. You couldn't just host an event. Like there was
a lot of
very different.
obstacles, yeah.
So it was like, wow, those words, I was waking up every day and I wanted to prove them wrong. I wanted to be like, I am going to show you that I can take up space in this city. So great motivation.
And now look at you now, huh?
And then like 3 years later, but it took time, like you said, the healing, right?
It does, yeah.
Because at the time, it's easy to have this conversation now, because at the time, there was no consciousness that those words were doing this for me.
Yeah.
So there's no conscious at that time that
of course.
it was later. There was this one moment, like I want to say 3 years later, I was like, oh my God, those words.
What would you say are the most important qualities that you would need as a business owner or entrepreneur when you're starting and when you're growing your business?
I would say my first one is the one that we just talked about, which is resilience, because you're going to get knocked down a lot. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to get no's. That is the road of entrepreneurship, of wanting to start something. So you need to have resilience attached to discipline, so that every time you're going to get a no, or every time it didn't work out, or every time you got knocked down, that you have that resilience together with discipline, because for me, those two come very together, that you are going to wake up the next day and go again. You got to go again. You got to go again. And you got to go again.
Yep.
So resilience and discipline for me are the two. The third one could be quite, maybe people will think of it as like cute, or they may not see the actual true value of it, but it's optimism. I meet and work with a lot of people that have such a either negative mindset or a complaining mindset. People radically underestimate the power of being an optimist. But caveat, practical, realistic optimist. I'm not talking about la, 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 fluff optimist. Everything is always great. Optimist in, can we find positivity? If me and you are two co-founders and things are getting really tough, like, are we going to be able to be positive? Can we talk positive to each other? Can we look at the positive ways on how we can try again? Like, the trying again is an optimistic move. We're going to go again because we have to believe it's going to work out. If this didn't work out, we have to believe that there's another road that's going to work out. So optimism for me, having that outlook, it's going to just make everything so much lighter. Every time I see people, clients, anybody, and they are being negative, and it's the narrative goes, what if? Oh, and then what if it doesn't work? And then what if it doesn't happen? And then what will people say? Or something bad happen. And the energy and the time of being spent in, like you say, the whole theme of this podcast, failure. The amount of energy that people attribute to the failure of something, if they could take that amount of time and energy and apply it on optimism.
What if it works?
What if it works?
Yeah. Yep.
So optimism, so resilience, discipline, optimism. I'm going to go with one that's very much me though, energy.
Oh,
you know, like
Yeah, you need to motivate
So
yourself.
you gotta
get up there,
if you don't
it.
have energy,
Yeah.
get healthy. Start training, start moving, start eating healthy. Surround yourself with people that are energetic, because you gotta work a lot of hours. Even if you have co-founders, even when you get to the point when you have a team. I'm going into my 6th year. I'm starting my 2nd business venture. I have teams now. I have people. That doesn't mean you still are not putting in a lot of work. So I would say that you gotta have a good level of energy, whatever that may be. You know, omega oil, eat healthy, train so you get yourself that energy that you need. I would say energy is a good one, because a lot of people are coming from lifestyles that were not very healthy. You know, you're sitting at a desk for hours, sedentary, laptop, da 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 da. When you're an entrepreneur, you gotta wake up and like, let's go. And the energy doesn't mean you are like, I'm not saying it has to be like me, like I'm jumping all the time and dancing, but mental energy, emotional energy, physical energy, those are very important. I would say these would be my favorite ingredients.
Ooh, love it. That's a nice little dish we're gonna get.
I would
out
add
then.
and then I would add the last one, kindness.
Kindness. Ooh.
Because there's a lot of sharks out there. So if we could all just be more kind, we can all succeed. We don't have to tear each other down to succeed.
Isn't it interesting that that concept of there's enough of the pie to go around? If everyone just understood that, look, I'm all for competition. I think it's healthy.
I'm so competitive.
Exactly.
Yes.
It enables you to be the best you can be.
Yeah.
And use it as a positive motivator. Great. But there is an element of maybe scarcity. And I'm thinking, like you just mentioned, have an optimistic attitude. Be abundant in your, if that person gets the project that I was, bidding for, or whatever it might be, or the client chose somebody else.
Do you know what it is? People are so insecure.
Exactly.
For me, it's insecurity. Because if you find that self-love, which is the step even before that, people are not having self-love for themselves. People are so insecure. So when you are insecure, of course, like you said, of course you're going to think, oh my God, 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 they got it. I don't care. I don't give two if you got that, if I lost my gig to you. In fact, I'm going to go like, why did I lose it to you?
Thank you. Use it.
And you know what? Good for you that you got it.
What can I do better next time?
What can I learn from this?
Thank you.
Move on.
Yeah.
I
Use
will
it as
not
a
waste
way
a moment.
to build you to be better rather than tear that person down. And I think that's where a lot of people get the wrong end of the stick, in that you need to be able to be the best you can be to make it and to sustain it. What's been your most challenging experience so far in your entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, such a tough question.
I know.
To be honest, at the time, so let's say about 8 years ago, it was really how expensive it was to start. My license was 25,000 dirhams. I was totally self-funded. I did not have wealthy parents, or I didn't have parents to fall back. I was here totally on my own, always have been. So I didn't have family. I didn't have, I was living salary to salary. I had a great salary at the time. It was almost 40,000. Did not save almost anything, which is why today I always tell everybody, please just save. Like, don't do the mistakes that I did. I was living on the edge, like there's no tomorrow,
Yeah.
And that was the biggest challenge, just how early I was at wanting to be a self-funded entrepreneur. I was sometimes as an entrepreneur, you are too early. And I was definitely too early. So I had all the stacks up against me from, there was no freelancer licenses. There was nowhere near what we have today. There was no co-working spaces.
Way.
There was none of this. There wasn't podcast studios.
No way.
So that was the challenge. I started too early. There wasn't yet, the UAE, Dubai didn't really have a blueprint, and they still don't. It's still being made. So I was really having to, how do you say, like make new ground, So that was hard.
I think being in the industry we're in, we deal with a lot of people. And I know from my personal experience, one of the people that I worked with on an event, I thank them now because they made me realize where I dropped the ball, to the point where I trusted that person thinking they were authentic. And I came to realize they were so disingenuous. And I learned a lot from that one experience, and it changed everything about how I approach a project, a new client, or an event. That makes me even more interested to know what has been the biggest game-changing experience that shocked you, disappointed you, but helped you totally pivot the way that you show up in your business.
Oh my God. I was really deeply backstabbed by someone. And as my good friend says, I was even front stabbed too, because she made sure to tell me as well.
Wow.
I was, and it still hurts till this day. And it is because it involves, she became very close to someone quite famous and quite known. And it's someone that I've looked up to a lot. His name is Gary Vee. And this person got to where she is today working with Gary Vee by really backstabbing me and using everything that I literally gave to her. And that was, I think, on my second year of House of Social, or third. So I was still pretty green, you know? You're very green when you begin. When you begin, you think you're going to take over the world, which you need that. You need that energy. But you're so green still. Like, I look back now and I'm like, I was so like, you know, and this person came in with a very good game, you know. She really got me. And she took everything that I gave her to get the job that today she has. And she knows, because whenever she's in town with Gary Vee, she will hardly look at me. That hurt deeply because it involves someone that I adore. I grew up with, I can't say I grew up. I guess I grew up my internet years with Gary Vee. I learned, I've been following him. It's going to be almost 9 years now. He means a lot to me. So to have someone backstab me, do that so horrible, that pain, but then also see this person close to someone like him who preaches from the rooftop about love and kindness, and to see that those two together, that hurts till this day. It hurts, especially when I hear her name, or when people tell me something, or maybe she's in town and maybe she'll even watch this podcast episode. She knows exactly who she is. It's a horrible pain when someone take from you and step on you and you see it. And wow, that has been one of the most painful things. What did I take from it, or what can I take from it? I think, to be honest, the pure simplicity that there is really sharks out there and they don't think twice. And I think that's really hard to grasp, but that's the truth. We all talk about how there's shark people and there's mean people, but it's when you really get bitten by one that you really go like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This was a big chunk that was, you know, it's painful, and it's an ugly reminder of how ruthless people can be. Now, you might ask me, hey, Alex, do you regret maybe having said so much to this person? Because I opened up so much, right? Like, I opened up, I gave so much. Do I have some regrets about that? Would I now give advice to people? Let's say, hey, maybe don't be such an open book. Maybe be careful. It's hard to say. I think I would just say that it's the closest people to you that will be the ones that can hurt you the most. Because you became very close.
Can I add a
It's not the stranger. It's not the stranger there.
I think
the
it's
closest people.
I think it's the closest people that can hurt you the most, because you allow them to get into you, into your head, into your heart. And funnily enough, the person that I learned my biggest challenge was the same person. I think we'll have a conversation outside of this, because the same person that I experienced, that they came to me and asked me to do an event for them. And the whole concept was, let's do revenue share. I have a huge database of people. I've got this. They're willing to pay X, Y, and Z to be with me. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, cool, let's go for it. Because of the background she comes with, I felt the same as you, like, okay, let's go. And I was in it thinking, let's go. No contract was signed. I went fully into it thinking she's legit, authentic. and let's see what happens. Later on, we come to realize there's no database. There's so many things that went wrong with this that I should have pulled out. There was no contract, so I could have pulled out. But my ethical way of being said, when you put your name to something, go with it. And you'll learn a lot. And boy, did I learn. It took me 2 months to vent this out of my system. And I didn't publicly put it out there because I was like, I need to heal first.
Same.
And then I still have never named the person ever.
Same.
To the point where I'm like, I don't need to.
Yeah.
And I remember having the conversation when we ended that night. And she even approached the people who we worked with to basically say, you know what, just send me this footage. And you're fully well, she's not going to pay them. And she didn't pay me for anything. So I'm like, look, I had a conversation with the people who I trust, and they trust me, and they literally came to me and said, who is this person you're working with? Because they're very dark in the way that they're approaching you. They're bad-mouthing you. They're standing right in front of you, and they're saying all of these things in Arabic to me. And I was there thinking, I remember I sat down with my cameraman, and I just cried. And I said, 2 days, we've been running this workshop. I've put people in there so that she doesn't look bad at the end of it. And I've been accused of stealing her content. For what?
What do I want your content for? Second, you're stealing people, like you're asking them to give you their work. And you know that I'm not going to give it to you because you're never going to pay them. This is how you choose to show up. That conversation we had, I said, I wish you the best of luck. Enjoy yourself. Please don't ever contact me again.
Yeah.
And we're done. Yeah. And they never contact me again. Wow. So I have this, I understand that people can hurt you if you allow them to, but I take that and I use it for I never change the way I am because I'm not allowing that person to have the power over me. Yeah. But I made myself a lot smarter when it comes to decision making.
Yeah, we're like more radar, alerts.
I won't be brutal. I won't be dishonest with myself because if I feel aligned to helping someone, I will, and I still do. Yeah. But I'm a lot more aligned to understand, read the person. Yeah. Are they giving you good vibes, or is your intuition and my intuition, I swear to you, Alex, it was saying to me, walk away.
Really?
And I was like, nah, I'm just scared to maybe do this. This is maybe this or this or this. Maybe it's just she's going to be big and I'm too scared to make what? No,
I didn't even have intuition at that time.
Don't do it.
I didn't even have. I think I had marketing and business intuition, which it's one of my biggest strengths. And I think that's what really got me to skyrocket really quickly on my first and second year. So in terms of marketing, I think I had a good sense of what I was doing. With people, I don't recollect really having that sixth sense yet because I really was in pure honeymoon stage of I was at my prime to literally be bitten by big sharks because I was so open. Like I was
that's so beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you were just too open without having your, street smarts. Activated at that time.
Exactly. Because I was so open to everybody. I was so giving. I mean, I stood up on the stages of my early master classes and I said, I want to build the first social media school in the UAE. Like I was proclaiming what I wanted to do. And I believe in this narrative. I love this narrative because it creates great storytelling. I love vulnerability. I'm very comfortable with being vulnerable. And I've never been one to hide. I actually believe in go forth and, claim that thing you want to go for. There's something, I think there's a lot of strength attached to that, even though it's quite vulnerable. So I was putting everything out, but I didn't have that. My first 1 year or two, my sixth sense with people was really clouded. My marketing and business sense instinct, I think were in a pretty good place, but not with people at the time. I was like loving everybody. Yes, you can help me. Yes, you work with me. Yes, this. I was on a yes, which I say it's a great advice. Yes.
But be discerning with who you say yes to.
But you know what? I really just even think for anybody that's watching and maybe they are a young entrepreneur or they're thinking about wanting to be an entrepreneur, I want you to fall. You got to fall in those first years. It's going to give you that. I think if you have really easygoing first years when you start, you might really have
quite a shock
when
it hits you.
When it starts to hit you. Like when things started getting a little bit more harder, I didn't feel them as much because nothing can be compared to my first 2-3 years. Like even now when things are tough, it's kind of different tough things.
Sure.
And it's almost like I have an airbag now where I'm like, Dude, nothing can be harder than
Yeah.
when they told me I couldn't have long blue hair and be a consultant in the UAE because, you know.
Yeah. You've been there, you've experienced it, and you know that that's just it. And as the saying goes, this too shall pass. So even if it's a hardship you're going through, you will get through it.
Yeah.
Hello, what happens once you get through it? We don't know. You might have to close the
Yeah.
business. It might not be for you. Maybe you need to start a new venture. We don't know.
Yeah.
But you will get through it.
Yes.
It's just having, like you said, those important qualities, that resilience. And that, you know, optimistic attitude
Yeah.
with a big dose of realism to keep going.
Yeah.
And you will. I think
Yeah.
it's just once you have that belief in yourself, you can do anything you need. And I know we're sounding so like fluffy and in the class, but it's true.
Yeah.
These elements are real.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. God, it feels like it's very therapeutic to share all of this stuff. The concept and the theory of failing forward is more about how does it help you progress. So whatever you learned, you know, if you face rejection, it could be a redirection.
Yeah.
If you fail, you know, a lot quickly, then you learn faster. There are these different concepts. So I just wanted to know, how do you take failures or let's say challenges to fuel you moving forward?
Cool. I love this question. As you were asking me, I was thinking about what were maybe some of the things that didn't really work out in more recent times. And there has definitely been a few activations or things that I tried to do that didn't really work out at all. Thankfully, there hasn't been so many, but there has been.
Sure.
And I was listening to you and I'm trying to put myself in the body of me when that was happening. And I think the few times that I've had those things happen where maybe it was a consultancy package that I did and it didn't work. Maybe it was a special offer and it didn't work, or a course, or I designed something and it just didn't stick. You know, it's never a good feeling. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's fine. It's never cool when you put something out and it's not working. It's never a cool feeling. Yeah. But for me, it has been about how much it's fueled me into being more creative and to really leaning in more into understanding my consumer and my market. And I think this is where I think a lot of marketeers, and I want to say marketeers because you can be an entrepreneur, but you might not be a marketeer. You might be an operations guy, girl, whatever. This is where I think people hit a block. Oh, nobody's buying my mug. Frustration with small business owners. You know, small business owners take a lot of things emotionally because it's a small business. So people don't buy my mug. People don't like me. It sucks. I'm horrible. And they go into this
self-hatred, negative self-talk. Yeah, been there.
But for me, it was always, or it's always like, okay, why isn't it working? Like, was I not creative enough? Was I too boring? Was I using a creative that was not resonating? Was I using a font that I've used? Like, it can go to the smallest details from a creative standpoint of, you know, am I just doing the same that I've done before? So doesn't, you know, how is the market now? Are people not wanting to spend? What's the time of the year? Sure. Did I miss a big holiday and I'm launching something where nobody cares about my consultancy special because they're all off into, I don't know, Thailand and Bali and long. Like, so to really simply answer your question, the failures that I've had of things that didn't work out, it has only fueled me to be more smart and innovative with my creative. How can I go another level? How can I get more crazy? Let me go study and learn again on what other people might be doing. Maybe I've lost touch of like looking around a bit and get that inspiration. You know, asking my people, getting closer to my people, really asking like, would you pay this much? What's happening in my competitors? Like you said, everybody's doing social media now. I have so much competition. A lot of people still associate me with the social media girl, but I do a lot of business strategy. A lot of clients that will watch this podcast will laugh when what I'm about to say next. A lot of times people book time with me to have a session and it's a single session. It will be one of my 90 minutes. And the funniest thing, they come to me for social media and that is the last thing that I touch on because I look at their 360 situation and I identify the bigger things that they need to work on. And then they'll be like, oh, I thought I was
Didn't think
coming
about
here
that.
to just be like, tell me about your Instagram post. And I'm like, no point telling you about your Instagram
got
post.
this to work
when
on
actually maybe you
first.
shouldn't even
Yeah.
be on Instagram and you need to be there, you know? So I think the failures have really just, like, I rock up to my desk and I'm like, oh my God, like, how can I be more creative? Like, how can I make my Halloween offer more crazy, more out of the box? How can my creative, how can my teaser time be better? You know, how am I promoting
Yeah.
things? So it has led me to become more creative. It has pushed my creativity. It has pushed me to be more strategic and to understand what is it that people are wanting. I think this is a mistake a lot of marketeers do, is that they just think that because they did one thing and it worked, that if they keep doing that, it's always going to work. Sometimes, yes, but a lot of times, no. And that's when innovation kicks in. And being innovative is really hard.
What motivates you to keep going?
I just have such like excitement for life and all of the things I still want to do. Like, I haven't even done half. I'm still on my third. I'm just starting. This is maybe my second Netflix season or Alex Flick season. I get so excited and hopeful for all of the opportunities that I know I can still forge. Is that the word? Like,
Yeah,
create?
yep.
And that it can all end tomorrow too. And I say that sometimes a lot of people that say that had something very traumatic happen to them. Thankfully, I've never had that. But I don't know. I've always felt since I was very young that there is this like edge to life, like that you do live on this edge of like, it could really all go tomorrow. And I just want to make the most of every single day, every single week. And I'm just really so excited about the very near future that I
love
can
that.
just do so much more.
This brings me to my last question. Almost, I don't want to end this, but I feel like, you know what?
We could
need
do an
to-
after
we-
hours. We could do an after hour
keep
show.
going and going. But I want to know what's next for Alex, and next was House of Social.
Oh, the best question is for last.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, almost a year ago now, I came up with an idea for a new business venture. And it's going to almost be a year. Can you imagine that I have been working on it? Now, since the idea until starting to practically work on it, 6 months went by. But so I am, and this is really going to be awesome because I'll be watching this video in maybe 6 months' time or a year time, and we're going to see what happens. I'm hoping to launch this new business venture. It's very aligned with what I have been doing. It's nothing completely drastically different. It is the perfect kind of like loop to it all. I'm very excited for it. It has put me in the most uncomfortable, out of the box place as an entrepreneur where I'm having to raise capital. So, and I'm fine asking people for money. I love asking people for money. I don't have problem. I'll ask anybody for money. That's okay. But the process of looking for investors, the dealing with the investors, the being dependent now, this has been my biggest lesson.
So
I
it's not
wake up,
just
I have
you.
an idea like I did with yacht class. I woke up, I had the yacht class.
And you
I
rolled it
literally
out.
pulled it out in like 3 weeks. It's almost going to be a year since conception of idea. This has been my biggest lesson I'm going through right now. So I'm going through this very new journey that I haven't been hardly sharing because I just can't. But I have been logging on lots of videos and lots of things, and there's lots of crying videos, and there's lots of euphoria videos, and there's lots of then more crying videos. So maybe this new business venture is going to be next. And then if it's not, I also still have so many unbelievable things that I want to do with House of Social. Not to say that I won't do those if this new business venture doesn't take off. They all can coexist, and they will all coexist really beautifully. But I'm also at a place where I'm at peace with, if this is going to be meant to be, the universe is going to lean in the same way that I'm leaning in so much with how hard I'm trying to lift it off. So that's what could be next. So I guess we watch this space.
Yes, you are someone that I've been watching for a long time. I will continue to watch. You're always just, you know, authentically yourself.
Thank
and
you.
that just jumps through the screen. I feel like there, you know, when you have this belief in people and humanity, and you just think there are good people out there,
Yeah.
you are a testament to that.
Aw.
And after a conversation we've shared
Yeah.
on camera,
Off record,
and
off record.
exactly, we do need to have that hope. Yeah. And I think the fact that you bring so much to the table and you are sharing so much of your wisdom and your insights and your knowledge and your expertise for people
Yeah.
to be the best they can be.
Yeah.
I think that's just a huge leap of faith that you're taking. And I commend you for that. I congratulate you for just being so authentic.
Thank you.
And you are a joy to watch. So
Aw.
please just keep doing what you're doing. Be as out there as you can be,
Yeah.
because that in itself is inspiring. And just, you know, being in the energy of creation, which is what you do, it motivates other people. And I think you must have, you know, you must have that from so many people telling you, we love what you're doing. And of course, you're going to get the trolls out there.
Yeah.
And all those people are going to come in and ask you or blame you for something or whatever it is. But I think you have more fans out there who are cheering for you. I'm one of them. And we want you to be the best you can be and just create bigger and do greater. And we're there for you. So thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. I'm so looking forward to having you back again, maybe with little tiny failures to talk about, but more of the journey that you can share with us. And I just can't wait to see what else you have to create.
Thank you for having me and for such kind words. It really humbles me. So I'm very humbled. Everything I do is very natural. So sometimes it's still hard to hear beautiful words like that because it's not a show that I put up. It's not curated and thought strategically. Yes, when it comes to content, there's many things that have a strategic side to it. But me and my journey, I think no matter what will happen with how much growth I'll have or whatever, I will always just want to be the very natural, unique, raw Alex. I think that's something that it's just how I grew up too, you know, very street smart. We didn't have a lot of money. So for me, it's always about how can I keep things as raw and as real as possible, no matter how fancy sometimes it can get or how much of a success I'm having or whatever, you know, like I just want to keep it as real as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy you're here. Thank you. Okay,
thank you.
well, that was Alex. There's so much more that I wanted to talk to her about and get her to share her insights on, but maybe we'll just have her on for next time. And thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you at the next one. TestShield.ae are the fastest growing UAE domain and hosting provider. Exclusive only to FabDXP subscribers, benefit from 50% discount on their online services by using the promo code FabDXP. Just visit TestShield.ae and you can elevate your online presence.